How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good, and you?
Good.
Is like the background okay?
It's Chicago. It's the beam. I like it. How did we meet? Do you remember?
I think we met with the French Chamber of Commerce.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Like I did maybe an event with the HR club, and you
Mm,
were there. And I was just like, it was one of my first day in Chicago, and so you are like maybe one of the first person I talked with in the
that's
US.
crazy. That's absolutely crazy. But now you've been here for several months. How long have you actually been here?
Now I arrived like end of January, so it's been 10 months now.
Wow. A
Yeah.
lot of things. A lot of things have probably happened.
It was very fast, very, very fast, but a lot of things happened. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh. So you're a VIE, you're working for a company now, you're eventually maybe going to go back. What are you doing at your company and what is a VIE?
Yeah. So I am in the US with a VIE program. So the VIE program allows like French young people to go like outside of the French borders to work for like French companies. But like it's between a private company and the French government. So we are like legally employed by the French government. And
It's
so
really cool.
me, the companies that I'm working with, I am with them since 3 years now. And after 2 years as a sales in France for them,
Hmm.
um, I was looking to go like outside the French market. I was looking to discover like another other country, other culture, and to improve my English. So I still have to improve it, but like since I arrived, it improved a lot. And so I came in the US as a sales for my company, but we didn't have anything here. So my job was to understand the market, find good people to have feedback on the application.
Hmm.
Because yes, my company is like a software company, so we sell a software for like the construction industry. And finally, after 10 months, we have like a very great market study. We have customers here. So that was a very great experience. Yeah, VIE for every French people under 29 years old. If you have an opportunity to go with a VIE program in a new country, go. Feel free to go because like it's a very great opportunity.
Well, also for you, how did you find out about VIE? Is this something that a lot of people are used to in France, or is it something that you had to learn about from your company? You had to ask about it? How did that kind of come about?
Yeah. So I think VIE is not known enough. Personally, I heard about it with my studies and with some friends who were looking for like some VIE. But yes, I think I heard about it thanks to my studies and my friends. But without that, I would never heard about it with like the government or like other other way.
It's crazy because, I mean, we're both here in Chicago and we kind of do things with the French, and it's really surprising because there are a lot of VIEs specifically in Chicago. You can't not run into them, especially in the business world.
Like in Chicago, I think we are like 50 VIE, 50 or 60 VIE only in
Yeah.
Chicago. In New York, I think it's double. But like 3 years ago, I think I've never heard about VIE. And now I'm talking with a lot of people from my school or something like that who are looking for VIE. So I think years after years, it's more and more famous for young people. But it's also quite difficult to find a mission for some people. But no, it's a great opportunity and a great program for sure.
Just also a little bit of background too, because for other people who don't really know about it, you do have to be French or part of something called the European. It doesn't mean that you have to be a French citizen, but usually you are a French citizen to go through it. You can be 18 to 28. That's at least what it says on the Business France website, and they're one of the big organizations that helps figure this out. And it's pretty much you're having an internship abroad, and you can have that for 6 months up to 24 months. So that means up to 2 years. And it really depends, I guess, on the contract you have, the company, what they're looking for. And some people continue on and keep doing things in the country they're in, and some of them don't. And some just use it as a really cool experience for the future.
So I think VIE, you have to be a French citizen.
Hmm.
Maybe there is like some way to go across these breaks because I know one people who is from Belgium and is using the VIE program. But I also know that, for example, like Germany, they have their own program to do that. US, it's 18 months maximum because of the visa. But yes, usually it's between 6 and 24 months.
It's really interesting that you can do this kind of thing. Especially again, as a French person, it just kind of allows you to try something new. But with you specifically, how was the process? What was that actually like?
So personally, it was a little bit special because like my company created the VIE for me, like created the VIE post for me.
Very cool.
So I didn't have to found a mission by myself or something.
Mm,
And I know that a lot of people are in the same case. They are like in apprenticeship or trainee in a company, and after that they will have like a VIE opportunity.
mm,
But for those who don't have this opportunity, like there are a lot of proposals on the
mm,
on the Business France website, or with the network, you can find a company which will create a VIE for you. And after that, like it's quite easy because we have a sponsor for the USA. Like my experience is only for the USA. I don't know how is it for India, for European countries, but in the USA you have like a sponsor, and the sponsor is will handle a lot of administrative stuff for you. And so one of the only tasks I had to do was to go to the embassy for my visa, and it was quite easy. So
not bad.
yeah, no, and after, of course, like in the country, like depend of the company, but I had to find like an apartment. I had to find like some stuff like that, but that's normal.
Yeah, I mean, those are the basic things to live that you sometimes have to figure out when you're starting out.
But if you are not used to find apartment or like to do some administrative stuff by yourself, you will always have like Business France or your sponsor to help you. And so it's very like comfortable to have like this environment. It's like you feel safe, because it's not only easy to go to a new country with a new language, a new culture, a new like administrative situation. For example, the health situation in the US is quite stressful.
Very different.
But with the VIE environment and like the follow-up we have with Business France, it's quite peaceful. Like I feel safe, it's not stressful or something.
That's awesome. Well, also for you, I guess this was kind of like the first time for you to expand also professionally into a new country and your company to do it as well. What was that like? What were kind of your first impressions when you went in? You were like, oh, this is kind of what I thought it would be like, but then it turned into something else.
So my first impression was I I don't know if it's the correct word, but I underestimate.
Yeah, underestimated. Yeah,
I underestimated like the size of the country because like the US is a huge territory, and like we said, like when you go in the US to introduce your product is the same as introducing introducing a product in 52 countries at the same time. And the most important, I underestimated like the culture and the language breaks.
Yeah.
The US is like an occidental country, so I don't know for people who are like going to India, because I have a friend who is like doing a VIE in India. And so I think like the culture shock is higher than in the US. But even in the US, which is like a country quite near of France with the culture
Mm.
and the history, yeah, I was surprised. I was like, oh, okay. But it's good because like you are like in a position that you are in the obligation to discover the culture and to mm, to adapt yourself to it. So no, it's very great, but at the beginning it's a little bit like per, how do you say perturbating? Like it's how do you say? I need your help for this one, but like c'est troublant, perturbant.
Yeah. Turbulent?
Yeah,
No,
maybe. I don't have this word.
it's, also from my experience, because I've been doing marketing for a long time for international companies, I can also just imagine what it's like when you go in and you have these assumptions about what can happen, and then you go into the country and go, wow, my product isn't reaching the audience I thought it was. They have different pain points. They have different expectations specifically because of the culture or the market that they are in, and how the market that you possibly have in France could be different than the market that they have in the US.
Yeah, so and like that was my first personal impression, but after
Yeah.
I began to try to sell my software, and thankfully my software is quite easy to sell. Like it's not like a huge product as Salesforce or like a very high sophisticated product. It's like a easy
Yeah.
software for like small companies. So it's easier to sell it than a very sophisticated product or like something else. But like American people, they love American products. And the way that they do business is also different. Like American people in front of you, they will always be very friendly, very like enthusiastic about the idea of trying a new product, but in reality, no. So you also have to understand that American people are not always saying sincerely things. And at the beginning, it's frustrating because, like in France, and even more like people in the construction, they will say like truly like, okay, I'm not interested, but maybe in 5 months, in 1 year, okay. Here, you will have hope. You will have hope. So you have to understand that to adapt your pitch, to adapt the follow-up, and that's the most important. So you have to adapt everything when you begin to introduce a company in the US. And even more when you are young, because like sometimes I go to events and I am the youngest in the room, and I am with people with like 40, 50, 60 years old. And when they see me, they're like, what is he doing here? And after you will talk with them, you will have a French accent. And they will like, so you have to adapt yourself, to adapt your pitch, like just to introduce like, sorry for my accent, I'm not from here, but let's talk. And if you don't understand, like feel free to ask me to repeat. And so no, it's interesting, and like it's very, very like I know that I'm very chanceux.
I don't think I have this word in my vocabulary.
Lucky, sorry, yeah. Very lucky,
Okay.
very lucky to have this opportunity, and a lot of French people are lucky to have the VIE opportunity, because like I'm 24 years old, and it's not everyone who can like work internationally at 24. So every people, like I talked with a lot of people from my school and who have the same degree as me, and I told them like if you have this chance, like grab it because it's awesome.
Well, how do you think it's also helped with your resilience? I
Mm,
mean, that sounds pretty challenging.
yeah. I think first of all, I get a good circle in the US, like good
Okay.
people around me, and it's important. My company was very close to me and they were very helpful. So, yes, you have like my role is very specific. Like most of the VIE in the world, they will work for like big companies with offices and colleagues in the country. It was not my case. Like I am with a small company, and I am in the only one in the US. But like I don't know, I had a goal. It was to find a customer and to implement the company here, and I always keep this in mind. But yes, you need resilience because you will, like in France, we will say like you will take a lot of doors in the face because
Okay.
people will don't trust you and they will don't trust your product because it's new, you are French, it's a French product, you are young. So yeah, you just have to keep going and to trust in your product, to trust in yourself, and to keep your goal in mind.
I mean, those are some great things to think about. Well, also, you have a very unique experience. You're currently also working in a French co-working space.
Yes.
Tell me about that because that's also very unusual.
Yeah, because I think in the 60 VIE in Chicago,
Hmm.
like 90% of them are working for like big companies with their own office in Chicago.
Right?
But we are like 6 or 7 VIE that we are working for French company who are looking to introduce themselves in the US. And so it's very interesting to have VIE to do like a year of discovery of the market, you know. But when we arrive in the US, we are in the obligation to have like a official office. And so like thankfully, because like if you are alone all the year without any person with you, for my case, because I love to be with people when I'm working. And so in my office, there are like 5 other VIE in my situation working for French company, but like their colleagues are in France, you know. And so
So
we
you guys
have,
have a support network.
so here we have like a support from people from here. So it's also very helpful. Yeah.
Would you see that's been very beneficial with doing what you're doing to have those types of people around you?
I think it's more like, so yes, because when I arrived, some VIE were here since like 1 year maybe.
Yeah.
And so they already have advices. Like I tried to do like a outreach strategy, but it doesn't work because I did that. So avoid to do that. So it's
Mm.
very helpful and you save time with the feedback of the previous VIE. So yeah, we always try to help between us, each other. And now it's like not colleagues, but like it's more like friends. So no, and VIE is for people under 28, so we are all in the same age range. So no, the ambience and the motivation that we have together is very important too.
I mean, absolutely. It's a really cool thing to find because just imagine you're by yourself.
Yeah,
So
but
different.
it's very specific, and most of the VIE are not in this situation, and most of the VIE are in like office with American people and with like a company energy, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very specific.
Absolutely. So, what about now that you're at this point, you found your first client? What was that like to actually have that come to fruition?
It's satisfying.
Yeah.
Like I get my first client on the application 8 months after the beginning of the mission.
Okay. So you have your full life cycle at like around 8 months for your first client.
Yes, because like during the 8 months, you have to adapt yourself. You have to create a network because you need to have visibility. Like without visibility, you can't do anything. I know like a French software company, like they arrived in the US with 4 people. They took for them 1 year to have the first customer.
Wow.
So you need time, you need to be involved, and you need to have the good strategy. And for me, like in the US, the most important is networking. And the customers that I found is thanks to networking. I was to an event like with a construction association, and I met like the head of sales of a medium-sized company, and I just show him like the solution. He told me like, all right, for the operations, it will be great. And step by step, with a great follow-up, they became customers. But yes, I waited for 8 months before to have this satisfaction. So you have to be patient. Like patience is the key.
It's really incredible because they do say that if you were to start a company, specifically in the US, I don't know how it is anywhere else, it can take up to 2 years to get
Yeah.
clients
And a lot of money.
and a lot of money. Yeah.
Like before to begin to sell the product, I did like a market study, of course.
Mm,
US is a huge country with a lot of money, and the market is more competitive than the French market. So here,
crazy.
our customers, they were founded in 2007 to 2010, where in France, our solution and our competitors, we have like 10 years late. So it's also like something to know. Like in the US, the competition is hard.
Yeah.
So,
You're going against established people.
and yes, and this type of company, more than us, they have American employees. So it's also a race. So you have to understand, all right, that's my position. I will have this difficulty, this difficulty. How can I go over it? And how can I avoid to be blocked by it? And no, and so it's very interesting. It's so cool. Like this year, I I felt like an entrepreneur with like a product because I had a product, but I had to do everything around the product to be able to have this first customer.
So exciting. You're learning so much, but also the stakes are really high.
Yes, and for example, I have a friend like who is a VIE in the US, but
Hmm.
working like for the medical industry for a very important product. So it's more difficult for him to sell the product because like it's for medical companies. So it's expensive. It's very like private industry. So his mission and the task that he does in the US market is very different than me. We have the same mission is to introduce our company in the US.
Can't even imagine what it's like with compliance and all that kind of stuff that makes things regulated within this country specifically.
Yeah. So no, so I think like every experience as a VIE is different.
Mm. So, looking back, what is something that you would recommend for people who are looking to go abroad or are a French person coming to the US or are doing their own VIE here? Do you have any recommendations for them?
I think the most important, you know, what is my point of view about that because we talked about it with an event with the French Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, yeah.
But I think you have to know like what is your personal goal.
Hmm.
Because I think like when you want to go abroad your country, you have a personal goal. Maybe it's professional, maybe it's personal. But for example, my personal goal was to improve my English and to have a step up in my career. Like for my private goal, for example, I maybe if I have the opportunity to do it again, I think I will do it differently and I will avoid to always be with French people, etc. But it's not a regret. It's just like, okay, I think I might be more like specific on this goal, and I have to fix me some tasks, some to be able to reach my goal more easily.
Absolutely.
So I think yes, you have to understand like what are your goal during this year because it's very short, like 18 months as a VIE in the US, and I only have 12 because it's like that with my company.
Right.
But it's very short. And so you have to understand that it's maybe a one-time opportunity in your life. So do everything that you can to reach the goal that you want to achieve, to do not have any regrets.
I mean, that's probably the best thing you could
Yeah.
share with someone.
And even if you don't reach every goals, you will have a wonderful year because like again, it's maybe 5% of the world population who is able to go abroad for work or for living. So it's even if you don't reach every goals, it's still a very great experience.
So, what are your plans now? I mean, how much longer do you have in the US
Yeah.
on your VIE, and what are you thinking about doing next?
So yes, so my VIE is 12 months
Hmm.
because for my company is what it was like. It was not a goal to introduce the product in the US. It was more like a gift for me to keep me in the company. And I'm very like gladful for that because like my boss are like very great people and I thanks them for this opportunity. So I only have 3 months left in the US because you also have like 1 month after the end of the visa, which allows you to stay in the country, like for visiting, etc. So I will take it because to be in another country is also the possibility to travel a lot and to discover a lot of landscapes, of communities. So I still have 3 months in the US. So the company will not continue on the US market because you need time and money to go in the US market. Like every expert that you will talk with about like the introduction in the US, they will say like if you don't have $1 million to invest in the US market, it will be tough. It will be not impossible, not impossible, because like some companies can do it with less, but you need money and you need time. And today, Alobis, my company, is always improving the product for the French market, and we have a lot to do in the French market and in the European. But now we know how to go to the US, and I'm sure that in few years we will go back to the US and we still have like a use case here. We have a customer, and maybe this customer, because he is happy with the application, so maybe he will talk about us to some friends, etc. So we have this possibility to maybe improve without to be in the country.
Hmm.
So we will see. I don't know. We will see. But so for the 2 last months, I am working for the French market because we know that in the US we will not stay, so we will not waste time to continue. And I want to help the most I can my company. So and so yes, after like I will go back to France. So I go back to France in February, like end of February, and I will continue to do sales because like I love to do sales, and I hope to have like this international aspect with my future job. Because if I went to the US, it was also because I want this international aspect with my career. And my English is still not perfect, but I hope to continue to practice and to improve in France. Oh yeah, no, great experience, but unfortunately, it's the end is coming, and the way back to France is near. But I do not have any regrets, and I'm also a little bit happy to go back to France because I don't know, the living way in France, like how we live in France, is something that I love.
Probably miss the cheese and the bread and so many other things, but that's a really good base.
I don't know, like, but when I decided to came in the US, I was not very attracted by the country.
Mm,
But I was wondering, like, why so much people are attracted by the US,
hmm
and how is it to live in the most powerful country in the world? And so can we feel it? And so it's also why I choose the US. It was just to have my personal point of view on the country.
hmm
So I completely understand the people who are attracted by the US and the people with me in VIE who want to stay after the VIE. But personally, I'm very happy to have done this 1 year, but I know that I want to live in France.
That's really cool. That's a really cool thing to kind of
Yeah, but I
think
think,
about. And you did some decent traveling too.
yes, yeah. No, and that also like one of the best part of the VIE is that like you are in another country, so you can explore. You can explore. But yes, I think everyone enjoy different culture, enjoy different way of life.
Mm,
And so it's also good to know like to know what you don't want and what you want. And I think
absolutely.
without this travel in the US, with this year in the US, I will I will never know that I'm attract and I love that much the French way of life.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, is there anything else that you
What's your feedback?
absolutely?
What's your point of view, Tatiana, about like the American way of life?
Oh, that's really complicated. I mean, it depends also where you are. Every location is a little bit different. We're both based in the Midwest. I think generally people are very friendly. I always talk with a lot of Europeans who come here or internationals that come here and think Americans are very nice, but then don't seem to get very close with them. They feel like they can go to ask questions to people, and people are superficially friendly and helpful, and but there's nothing really behind that. That's kind of something that's I think a little hard to hear also for people who do come from the US, that people have that impression from them right away, or at least over time. And I think that's something that very much hurts people that come here and think, oh, I met someone, they're great, or I'm going to work professionally with them, that'd be really great. And then you realize, oh, maybe it's not what they were showing to me. It might have an ulterior motive. And I'm not saying that's always a bad thing. I think that's a really big thing that people commonly say. I mean, in a business world, it is very competitive. It is a very competitive market. It's very interesting. I mean, word of mouth is usually the best way to go about things, but it's hard to get that when you come from another country and you're trying to bring something here. You need to gain that respect over time. You have to have people really find what's interesting about it and be willing to go, hey, this is something that's very unique and it's not from here, and that's why it's great. I don't know. It's For me,
What's your
it's
advice
interesting.
for people coming in the US
Oh,
and to go over this culture difference and to be able to know before to come, like be careful because like American people will be like that most of the time.
I think it depends what country you're coming from too. Very interestingly, I mean, France to me, for instance, is a no until yes culture. As you had mentioned earlier, you're like, someone said, hey, this is how it is. Don't always take everything at face value and definitely try. I think the general rule, and I love how you mentioned this too, is if you're trying to do something, find the right space for you to be in, to have the right support ahead of time. Find, especially if you're going to the US and you're going to a specific location, see if you can find resources ahead of time, Facebook groups, Instagram, there are surprisingly Instagram groups that exist that can help you already gain a little bit of a network. They might not be your closest friends right away, but people to help you possibly professionally and personally. That's always something that really helps make that transition easier. And over time, you can possibly get those really close connections or those maybe mentors for work or organizations that can help you. But those are definitely some really important foundations to have. It sounds like, especially with you coming in with VIEs who also had had similar experiences, they were probably able to make you make more decisive decisions because they'd had that experience before. And it's the same with finding an apartment. If you can find
Yeah.
other internationals who've come here or Americans who know areas, they can help you better than if you don't have that.
Yeah, I can't agree anymore. I can't agree more. Like, yes, you're right.
I do have to ask you, you do have a LinkedIn group on Facebook for VIEs.
Yeah, I try to motivate like VIEs to go to some events like professional events, networking events, because we have some great organization here, like the French Chamber of Commerce, the French Tech, and some amazing events where you can meet people from every industries with some very important roles. And I think for people in VIEs like between 28 years old, it's
Mm.
also a huge opportunity to meet these people. And I met so much important people that can help me for the future in the US that I want to share with the most person I can these type of opportunities. And like people at the French Chamber of Commerce and at the French Tech asked me also to motivate and to engage the VIE community with the professional circle of French people here.
Well, and then also with this type of community, how did you find, for instance, the network that was in your specific industry? What was that? I
For the
mean,
for the construction,
absolutely, because that seems like, at least for me, if I were to come in, that seems like the hardest part. How do you find those types of people if you don't know anything?
so first of all, one part of my strategy was to build a personal branding.
Hmm.
And so for that, I built a network on LinkedIn with professional people in the construction industry. I talked with a lot of them. Like maybe I talked with 50 people from the industry on LinkedIn to understand the market, to understand like how they do business, how they meet people, etc. And after that, I found some associations in Illinois
Hmm.
because it's also a fact like you have to target a very specific area in the US to be efficient, because if you target all the country it will be not efficient. So you have to create your network in a very small area, even if like a small area which is a state is the equal of the French country, the French territory. But so I try to find every associations in Illinois. And in the US, networking is so important that they have weekly events. And so you have to go to the events to show your person, to show your solution. And people need to know that you exist. And after they will talk to their friends, they will say, oh, I know this guy, he could be interested. And so that's how I built my network. So LinkedIn, first of all, and after to be more close with my target, it was with the associations.
Wow. So you have to be used to being social.
Yeah, you have to be social. And you like it's a little bit scary at the beginning
Mm.
because you arrive like my first event was maybe at like 1 hour by car from Chicago. And I was a little bit late, like 10 minutes late. But I arrived in a room with maybe like 100 people, everyone, mostly men, because like it's construction, and men between like 40 and 60 years old. And I arrived like an ovni, you know? And so I tried to talk with them, to interact with them. But most of them, they are friends. They are friends because construction is like a small industry and everyone is working with everyone. So you have to go over your stress, to go over your scare, your scary. So at the beginning it's quite difficult, but after you will be more comfortable and you will see, like most of the time you will see the same people at the events. And so after like 3 or 4 events, people are, oh Val, what's up? How is it going with the business? And so after it's like more friendly, they will introduce you to other people. So at the beginning it's very scary. It's like quite impressive and stressful, but you have to go over. It's not easy. It's not easy at all, but you have to go over. And even if it's not working, these people you will probably never met again.
Try it.
So don't be afraid about shame or something like that, you know. Be yourself, do your best.
I think those are things that we all need to learn while doing things. Otherwise, you don't do the thing that you need to do.
Yeah, and sometimes you just have to take the opportunity. Like everyone in the US will take like the membership for association. I've never done that, but I was always ready to help like the association director or people working for the association to show my interest in the association and to show that I'm involved in the network, in the community, because it's you have to join a community and the community have to trust you.
Yeah.
So yeah, do your best, find solutions because I didn't have money for the membership. So it's why I was like, if you need help, I can come like 1 hour before and to help you to set up the event, etc.
And just try.
Yeah, just try. Make what you want, do what you want, what you can with your skills, and you will improve. Because like now, when I meet some American people, I'm more comfortable. And I remember because like after 6 months, like I met a woman at the first event and we talked like maybe 30 minutes. And I saw her again like 6 months later. And she was, oh, but I know you and I recognize your accent, but your English is so better. Like, and I was like, oh, thank you so much. And after that, she was like, so how is it going with your business? Because I remember that you are like introducing a software. And after she bring me to some friends. And so you don't know how it will happen, but generally, like people are very friendly, like you say in the US, and they always want to help you, even if you will never be close with them. Like you will never be like with them to a barbecue party or something. But at the beginning, they will always want to help you, and that's one of the point I always respond. I always reply to American about what do you think about the country? What do you think about Chicago? I told them like, okay, for me, like the city, French cities are like more beautiful because like it's more like historical, etc. But people, when you compare it to Paris to Parisians, like Parisians, they are like cold, they are close, and they are like focused on themselves.
Hmm.
Here, American people, they are like very open. They will be very helpful, friendly. So that's very nice. Like in the US, this point is very nice.
Are you a little worried about going back to France and dealing with the cold Parisians again?
No, no. No, because like in France, I will go back to Paris, but I have like my friends and no one is from Paris, but from Brittany. So no, I'm not afraid to the back to France. But maybe I don't remember well how is it to live in Paris, and maybe I will, after like few months in France, I will say like, "Oh, living in Chicago was great." Maybe because
I mean,
living in
it's always,
Chicago, yes, it's something very cool, very cool. Like the city is well designed, well organized, and people that we know thanks to the French Chamber of Commerce are very kind. So no, for sure. Like again, if like people who are like listening us want to go abroad, and they are like hesitating, don't hesitate. Like it's a one life experience, and you will see. Like you can't know if you will like it or no if you don't do it. Yeah. And I think you too, but I know a lot of people that they don't want to go back to France anymore because like they feel better in the US.
I have a feeling eventually I'll end up in France again. But I also go every so often, and luckily I still incorporate that very much in my life. And maybe that's something when you go back to France, you might have to incorporate some English speakers, some Americans. There's some great Facebook groups to do that, by the way, when you're back in France. I still feel like I have a little bit of that, even though I'm not in the environment anymore. Obviously, we met, and I'm sure we talk mostly in French and a little bit in English.
Yeah. Yeah, because like you are fluent in French too, so
I still am scared. Like sometimes I still have moments where I'm like, ugh, I'm still saying this wrong or I'm using the wrong grammar.
but did
But
you
yeah,
did you in France did you attend were you attending to some like networking events in France too, or only in the US?
I would say mostly in the US. I did a little bit very differently. I was very much focused on friendship networking more than professional networking. I was working in two French companies when I was there, and my first company, I was mostly not doing any networking. I was in a pretty well-known French company. We were on the Champs-Élysées. It was really cool, but I didn't speak a lot of French at the time. And then I went to a smaller headquarters for a very different industry and didn't have a lot of opportunity to do that and wasn't even looking into that in the start of my career. I didn't realize that was something that I could do, but I found a lot of meetup groups. Meetup is, I would think, not as popular anymore. A lot of Facebook groups to meet people, and I was using a lot of English and trying to use my French and meeting a lot of professionals and trying to just do it, kind of
Hmm.
failing, but that's how you learn. I started with a very low level of
Yeah,
French.
because like I think it's one of the only thing I will change in my life in France,
Mm,
that I discovered this like networking networking environment in the
yeah,
US, which is very important. Like I feel maybe 60% of the people here, they do network. Like after work, they will go to after work with random people, and they will talk, and they will always find opportunities, business opportunities, because Americans are always focused business and how to make money.
it's crazy, but yes.
And so in France, in Paris, I will try to do the same, like to do network and to meet new peoples with some events like that.
Mm.
But I want to know if there is some events like that in Paris.
I'm sure there are. I mean, wouldn't there be sales events? Wouldn't there be things specific, maybe even to your industry that you could go to? I'm sure if you find it even, I wouldn't be surprised if virtually you see like LinkedIn groups that exist like that, and then maybe you can even be the one to create those networking events. Who knows?
Yeah, 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 of course. Of course. That's a possibility.
Yeah. I know, but I agree with you. It's something that not a lot of people I feel like talk about, but it's a good way to have community and kind of you're growing. Sure, you're going to networking and growing your network, um, but it really helps kind of open you up to different opportunities, see what's out there, learn more, and gain more connections. Sometimes that's really interesting.
It's interesting to be connected with more and more people from various fields.
Absolutely. So, anything else? Anything else you'd like to mention?
No, I think like the goal was to have my feedback as like a VIE in the US. Again, like to end the discussion, like my advice is if you have the opportunity to do it 100%, because like the US experience is very cool and you have a lot of trips that you can do in the US. You can meet a lot of great people. You have a lot of business opportunities. Just do it, and if you don't like it, who cares? Like you will have your experience and you know that you don't like it and you can go back to your home. But you will not have the regret to didn't do it and to always questioning yourself about may I live in the US?
Just do it.
Yeah, exactly. And you will find people like Tatiana who are here for support you at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. At least hopefully.
Thank you a lot, Tatiana, for the invitation and to think about me for talking about my experience, my feedback. It's always interesting to help people and to give insight about this experience.
Oh, yeah. Hey, it was absolutely amazing to have you talk about everything, Valentin, especially since you and I have chatted about a lot of things, but never really gone into the interesting questions of how and why and what the experience was really like. So I really appreciate this, and I hope that there are some people who can use it for their experience and maybe for the opportunity to see if they want to do it, or if they're going through struggles, get a couple of extra resources because you never know if it can help.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Tatiana, and I wish you all the best for your podcast.
Thank you. And I wish you all the best when you're back in France. I'm sure I'll see you before then. And I hope that a lot of people can follow you and see what you're doing on LinkedIn and maybe want to jump in on that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Thank you so much, Tatiana. Have a good day. Take care.
Amazing. Bye.
See you.